And a whirlwind day at the Colorado State Capitol. Governor Polis signed a package of key safety bills, as they're being called, including a ban on some semi-automatic firearms, and lawmakers gave final approval to the state's $44 billion budget. Brandon Richard with Scripps News Group in Denver shows there's still plenty of work left before session wraps in less than a month.
It's officially the law of Colorado. Congratulations.
Governor Jared Polis signed a controversial gun bill into law Thursday, banning the sale and purchase of certain semi-automatic firearms.
This legislation builds on our commitment to improve public safety, reduce gun violence, uphold our freedom.
The bill had support from Vet Voice Foundation, a progressive veterans group.
There's a lot of information that's been put out there that would make it seem like it's very extreme, and this is not an extreme bill whatsoever.
But the Rocky Mountain gun owners call it an assault on the Second Amendment.
All they want to do is they want to chip away once again at the Second Amendment.
The governor also expected to soon sign a measure implementing Amendment 79, which voters approved in November. It enshrines abortion protections into the state constitution and lifts the ban on public funding of abortions. Colorado lawmakers also began final debate on the state budget. The House also passing a series of related bills, including cuts to a number of state programs to help fill a $1.2 billion budget deficit.
Not everybody will be happy with what we did.
Republicans say the state faces a bigger fiscal nightmare next year.
It's because we have continued to overspend and overspend year over year.
With 3 weeks to go before this year's session ends, lawmakers must also decide the fate of a bill to overhaul Colorado's labor law. It would get rid of a second election requirement for unions before they can negotiate a contract. Finally, lawmakers will also consider a new bill to protect undocumented immigrants from deportation, restricting ICE's access to schools and jails, and protecting personal information.
We have no control over what ICE does or does not do. But we do have control here in Colorado over what we do and what we don't do.
The immigration bill advanced out of its first committee and now heads to its second committee on Friday. Brandon Richard, Scripps News Group.
Governor Polis also signed other safety-related legislation into law today, including a bill to improve the state's response to mass shootings and a bill to implement recommendations of a task force to prevent youth from running away from residential child care facilities. So let's take a closer look at Senate Bill 3 that Governor Polis signed. If a Coloradan wants to buy a semi-automatic firearm with a detachable magazine, they now must be vetted by a local sheriff and complete a firearms certification course. The certification will last 5 years, and one of the sponsors of the bill, Senator Tom Sullivan, lost his son Alex during the Aurora theater shooting in 2012. He shared emotional testimony when the bill was still making its way through the Senate, saying he would have rather had his son survive in place of him.
I wished I had never had to be here. I wish that Alex had called me and said, Dad, why don't you come with me tonight? Then I wouldn't have to be standing here in front of you.
The new law will go into effect on September 1st. And here are some other gun laws state lawmakers have passed in recent years. The minimum age to buy a firearm was raised from 18 to 21 in 2023. Also, a mandatory 3-day waiting period went into effect where Coloradans must wait 3 days before they can be given a weapon that they bought. Last summer, Governor Polis signed a bill that requires firearms dealers to get a $400 state permit to sell, instead of just a federal firearms license from the Bureau of Alcohol, Firearms, and Explosives. For more details on these laws, you can visit KOAA.com to see our previous coverage.